Hello everyone, welcome back. Today we shall look into the different theories of communication which is included in Unit 1 of AECEng-2 paper. The first model of communication is Aristotle's one-way model of communication. So Aristotle he proposed this model of communication as a one-way process. Okay, so the communication will have one-way process which starts from sender to the receiver. And according to this model, communication is consisted of how many basic components? Three basic components. These are sender, receiver, and a message. Very simple. One sender, one receiver, and in between a message. Okay, so that's why it's a one-way communication. And Aristotle also states that the successful persuasion takes place when a sender uses the right techniques to give the right message to the right audience. So if you have noted it, Aristotle proposed this as a one-way process of communication with three components, sender, receiver, and a message. And that's why, the sender is at the most important position because the sender needs to send the right message to the right audience by using the right techniques. So the entire communication is fully reliant on the sender. I hope it's understandable. The next theory is Shannon-Weaver theory, where communication it has a concept of encoding noise and feedback to the process of communication. So first thing, this particular theory is developed by two-person Claude Shannon and Warren Weaver. So they gave a theory of communication which is also known as Mathematica model of communication, and it has five main components. Aristotle's theory had three main components, whereas Shannon-Weaver theory, it has five main components. Okay, what are the five main components? Information source, transmitter, channel, receiver, and destination. So if you see, no, the information source, it produces the message, isn't it? Every message needs an information source to be produced, and that's why after the information source produces the message, the transmitter encodes the message into proper symbols and signals for transmission. And the channel is responsible to carry the signals from the transmitter to the receiver. Following this process, the receiver decodes the signals which is encoded. Remember? So the receiver decodes the signals according to the level of understanding, and finally the destination is the final consumer of the message. That means at last who reads the message. So these five main components are important in Shannon-Weaver theory, but very interestingly, this theory developed further by adding two more components. The first is the noise source, which interferes the message in the channel. And they also realized that there should be an addition of the sign theory, which states that the message should not be sent to the receiver in the raw form. Rather, it should be encoded in a form that is acceptable for the receiver. So, in a comparison with Aristotle's one-way process of communication, it's quite complex because it has, first of all, more than five components, that is seven in estimate, right? And moreover, there are, various ways through which the communication gets successful, such as from the information source till the sign theory, isn't it? Here we can see three simple and smaller theories in comparison to the earlier two. The first one is Cram's theory. Now, Cram's theory is something which we already know. If you haven't gone through the earlier lecture, you can see. But Cram's theory is the simple theory of communication which proceeds through these elements of sender, receiver, encoding, channel, decoding, and a feedback. That means a sender should have a receiver, and the message that the sender wants to give to the receiver, it should be encoded by the sender and decoded by the receiver, and it also should have a channel which at the end be responded back by the receiver. Okay, the feedback is important here. So in this whole entire process, it revolves again and again in a circular path. Why? Because the sender will receive a feedback from the receiver, isn't it? And in this process, what happens? The response of the feedback will again be shared by the sender, and then again the receiver will share a feedback. So it's a continuous process. Okay. Then new com theory means where reactions take as an important part to interact with each other. So individuals have their interactions through the reactions. Clear? Then Watlawick, Bevan and Jackson theory. This theory takes place as a result of the behavior of the interactants. So in Newcomb, their reactions mattered, and in Watlawick, Bevan and Jackson, the behavior of the interactants mattered. Okay. So for the behavior, what is important? The relationship is important, isn't it? So what kind of relationship, what is the relationship status between two or more than two individuals will be responsible for the way of communication they have between each other. So we can say that this theory was the first, that is Watlawick, Bevan and Jackson theory. It was the first to propose that communication is a two-way process, because as per we have already gone through, Aristotle already convinced in the earlier periods that communication is a one-way process. So this Watlawick, Bevan and Jackson theory, it was one of the first theories which came forward to propose that communication is a two-way process. Now let's look into David Berlow's SMCR model of communication. Quite interesting. So David Berlow proposed that there are four basic components in the process of communication. What are the four basic components? Source, message, channel, and receiver. And all these four components, they are interconnected or interrelated with each other, because the effectiveness of a source depends on its communication skills, attitude, knowledge, and social or cultural context. The message is the content or the matter of communication. So obviously message is important. What is the basis of the communication? The message, isn't it? So the channel is the medium through which the message gets forwarded, and the receiver's communication skills, attitude, knowledge, and social or political context or cultural context is also an important part in David Berlow's SMCR model of communication. So we can try to note that in this model of communication, the entire process of from communication skill to attitude to your knowledge to your context, everything is important, right from the source till the receiver's skill. Okay. At last, we need to understand about the Indian communication theory. Now, see, an Indian sage, Bharat Muni, terms Sadharinikaran. Okay, this term is known as the key process of communication as per Indian communication theory, because Bharat Muni says that it takes place between Sahridayas. Sahridayas mean when people get connected through hearts by hearts. That means hearts are attuned to each other. Okay, so to be a Sahridaya, the sender and the receiver should have a common culture, should have some common background of learning, and they must be adapted to each other. So basically, Sahridayas can be developed only when there is a common background between the sender and the receiver. So this theory, what does it do? This theory emphasizes the receiver's mental conditioning by which he or she can be in tune with the message. So it tries to emphasize on the mental conditioning. Okay, and according to this Indian communication theory, communication is a mental search for meaning whose aim is self-knowledge, freedom, and reaching the truth. So give importance on these lines, that as per Indian communication theory, what is important? That communication is a mental process or a mental search. Search of what? Search for meaning. And this search for meaning has a aim. What is the aim? The aim is self-knowledge, freedom, and to find out the truth. That's how you can say Indian communication theory, it develops the entire, you know, development of that particular communication process between a sender and a receiver. So I hope these theories are pretty clear to you all, and these are quite important for your exam because theories are usually asked. So do not forget to go through the book that I have suggested to prepare for the exam. You can use that book or any other sources to collect materials for your answer. Okay, so that's all. Thank you.